Warning. This video contains spoilers for DC Universe's Doom Patrol. Viewer discretion is advised.
DC Universe is out and I paid for a year of it. This is DC Discussion. Readers, I just watched episode 2 of Doom Patrol Season 1 and I'm really digging what's happening here. Yes, of course, I have my own critiques and my opinions about some of the events and some of the character decisions that were made over the course of this episode, like I do. But for somebody who decided to skip Titans just to watch this, I'm not regretting my decision to do that. Also, thank you for everybody who left comments in the last episode of DC Discussion regarding why Rita and Larry haven't aged since the 50s and 60s. I appreciate that, and it makes sense in retrospect for somebody who never read Doom Patrol. Doesn't explain why they couldn't at least dye Niles' hair to make him look younger back in the 90s, but that's just me. I know a lot of you said that he probably does have some immortality juice just lying all willy-nilly around the mansion, but unless I see that with my own eyes during one of these episodes, I'm going to continue questioning everything. So let's start the show. So this episode picks up where the last episode ended off, with Cliff and Co. standing outside of the town that Mr. Nobody is swallowing up with his powers. Oh, and the town wasn't evacuated and innocent people are being sucked into a cloudy abyss. So that's fun. Now at this point, everything is beginning to get sucked into the hole, including the team. Honestly, if it wasn't for Cliff punching and grabbing hold of the ground and catching Negative Man when he lost his footing, he would have been sucked in too. That also includes the bus that Niles and Nobody are in. Yet despite an attempt by one of Crazy Jane's alters with super strength trying to keep it on the ground, it goes into the ether too. So she did what any other absolutely sane individual would do. Just jump the fuck in, I guess. Now at this point, the entire town and its population is gone, and the only ones left are Cliff, Rita, Larry, and a landmass in Fallout cosplay. That's when the show decides to establish some of the inner conflicts that the characters are going to have to go through over the course of this season. And they do it in the form of Rita and Larry looking at everything that just happened and unifying under the banner of, our name's Bennett, and we ain't in it. Meanwhile, Cliff is just determined to fix everything. Then the show goes the extra mile when we see Larry attempt to leave. Like, on his own. He goes on and buys a bus ticket successfully, despite not showing his face or form of ID because clearly the ticket lady isn't paid enough to follow any form of protocol at all. But the pure energy that's bound inside him ever since his accident and apparently responsible for him being alive won't let him leave, no matter where he decides to go. The reason why I really like this angle of Negative Man is that there's now another aspect in regards to him developing his character. From this scene alone, I now know that he has to interact with this aspect and possibly work together, which would result in him becoming a better person later on down the line because of it. If done correctly, this can call for some very good character development for Larry later on down the line, and from the looks of it, this show is probably going to take that to heart. Meanwhile, we meet Cyborg for the first time. And after the show helps establish that Silas is always going to be a shitty-ass parent no matter what universe he's in, not only is it established that he and Silas know Niles from years back, but he also finds out about what happened to the town and goes off to find him. Instead, he finds where the town used to be and Cliff trying to catch albino Eddie Murphy, who, after Cyborg and Robot Man decide to turn their first impression meeting into an oil pissing contest, decides to do this. What, your donkey never vomited up an edgy dressed white girl with DID before? You changed. Anyway, now that everybody's back at Doom Manor, including Cyborg, Crazy Jane proceeds to do more things to help establish the fact that I hate her. That's also when Cyborg and Cliff find out that the alter in control of Jane when she decides to go too hard in the paint is named Katie. That's when Cliff decides to do some research of his own to find out for himself that not only does Jane have alters with their own powers, but that Katie isn't the type to want to be questioned when she's summoned. And because Cyborg doesn't know this, well...
Whoa, Katie, I was just trying to help!
So once they get Jane locked in a room unconscious, Cyborg discovers with his dimension scanner technology that he has, that the reason the donkey threw up Jane in the first place is because that's where Niles and the town went, and that the donkey is pretty much the door to Kingdom Hearts. So he and Larry are able to convince Rita to get all ghoulified so she can slip down the donkey's throat past the portal to see what she could see. But because this is a TV show based off of a superhero comic series, it turns out that this is a trap by Mr. Nobody, and Rita, Larry, and Cyborg fall down the donkey's throat into... And that's where we get a lot more personal with these characters. Cyborg, Rita, and Larry are all going through aspects of their lives in order for Mr. Nobody to break them, revealing that they all have a bit more baggage than the first episode led on to believe. Not to mention that the entire experience he sends the three through makes me dig Mr. Nobody as a villain more. Like, if he keeps this up, he's probably going to end up becoming one of my favorite DC villains in a minute. Even Cliff gets on board the development train, even though he's not in the same situation as the rest of the team, when it's revealed that despite the shitty way Jane's been treating him since their introduction, him trying to fix the situation with her is his way of trying to fix his relationship with his daughter now that he knows that she's still alive. The only thing I dislike about this route, and in essence the route the series decided to go in since the introduction, is that Jane isn't allowed the same development luxury as the others, and is used as more of a method for Cliff to advance. And I'm not gonna lie, it's a combination of that and the fact that she has just been nothing but a fucking hindrance ever since she came in this last act of the first episode that makes me not really dig her character in this. Right now, she's less of a character and more of an edgy, angsty plot device. Like, I want to like her, but she just won't give me a reason to. Shit! Even Cyborg gets more development than Jane, and has proven that he's not only capable of combating Mr. Nobody's mind games, but is capable of being the actual anchor for the team, like I thought Negative Man was going to be back in episode 1. And this is only his first episode! Speaking of Negative Man, his cosmic essence helped the three escape the trap and return Studio Backlock America Town, USA and its civilians back to the real world. And while they didn't get Niles back, they now know that Mr. Nobody does exist, and Cyborg decides to stick around to plan out his rescue. Larry and Rita go through a bit of an existential crisis over what Mr. Nobody put them through while they were in the trap, while David Bowie's swan song Lazarus is playing in the background, which I think was very well used in my opinion. All while Jane paints what she obviously saw during her trip in the ether. Don't worry, it's just a variant cover of Crisis issue 7. So yeah, other than my opinions about Jane and how she's being used so far, this show was off to a very strong footing, a very good, solid first 2 episodes so far. I did see while I was watching it that the 3rd episode is going to be called Puppet Patrol, so I'm pretty sure that every single episode is going to have Blank Control as the name. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. Either way, I love to see how puppets come into play in the 3rd episode and how the team has to deal with themselves and whatever else obstacles they're going to run into. I'm really digging this show so far, guys. So with that being said, readers, your homework assignment for the day. Write in the comments section below what you thought of episode 2 of Doom Patrol if you've seen it. If you want to help financially support the channel, you can join my Patreon by clicking the card at the end of the video or in the link in the description down below, where you can also find a link to my merchandise store. Or if you prefer to give a one-time donation, you can find the links to my PayPal and my Ko-fi page in the description box as well. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and every other Friday. But until then, this is Readus 101. Class dismissed.